This is Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Mitch Lafon.
Welcome to the special edition of Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Joining me on this episode from the band Soulfly, it is Max Cavalera. The band is currently on tour, playing the entire Nailbomb album, Point Blank. So we talk about that. We talk about the importance of that album, and will there ever be another Nailbomb album? We also look back to his time in Sepultura, the very, very first Soulfly album, making new music, and a lot more. So without further ado, here is the one, the only, Max Cavalera. We are speaking with Max Cavalera of Soulfly. It's not a new album. You're on tour with the Nailbomb album Point Blank, playing it in full with Soulfly. Talk to me about sort of the show and what people are going to see when they come out to it.
Yeah, it's a continuation. You know, we kind of did one leg already in October, and we had so much fun. It was great. You know, it was really kind of a cool idea that kind of came out from the Roots idea that we did, the Return to Roots with my brother, and that was so well received, and that I decided to touch something else from the old days, which is Nailbomb, which is like a cult record that a lot of people like. So we gave it a go, and it was amazing, you know, like a cool underground package with kind of Corpse and Noisem and Lodi Kong, and later on Harm's Way. So we're doing it again, man. We just like back for more, you know, like more. We're gonna play the whole record. We're adding some stuff actually. We're adding While You Sleep, I Destroy Your World, which is from the live record. We might do a Dead Kennedys cover, and maybe even play one of the new Soulfly songs that from the new album that's coming out in the summer. And I'm so excited for the tour also because we got Today's the Day and Cure and Lodi Kong. So we're keeping the underground package alive with this tour. It should be a lot of fun, man. We are practicing every night, and it sounds great. You know, we're pretty much ready to hit the road.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You're in Montreal in March 14th, so I'm looking forward to that. But talk to me about the original album's concept. I mean, you were sort of just jamming with Fudge Tunnel's Alex Newport, and it turned into this album. What was it about those jam sessions that you sort of said, okay, we need to take this to the next step, make it an album, and make it available to fans?
Well, we didn't. You know, we were just jamming, having fun. I was showing Alex how to play my Sepultura-style riffs, and he would show me how to do the Fudge Tunnel real Hate Songs, the E minors riffs that I love. And we started writing our own stuff, and then we started Alex bought a sampler, and he was real curious about sampler stuff, so he was like sampling everything and making drum beats with electronic drums, and so we started putting guitars on it. And then, we weren't doing a record at all. We were just having fun. And then Gloria, she kind of walked in the room, heard some of it. She was like, this is awesome. We got to turn this into a fucking record, you know? And we just kind of laughed like, yeah, you're joking, right? This is not serious, you know? She goes, no, it's great. I'm calling Roadrunner and get you guys a deal. And she did, man. And next thing I know, we got a cool budget that we get to go in a real studio, and we made the whole record. But we kept the spirit of the underground, do-it-yourself, real kind of punk metal, industrial feeling throughout the whole record. So it was cool because it was born for something that was not forced. You know, we never really even knew we were making a band, and we were just jamming. And I think sometimes those are the best things there, to come out of nowhere like that without really a lot of planning.
Yeah, I agree. Now, it is a cult favorite, as you mentioned. It came out in 94. You did the Proud to Commit Commercial Suicide live album after. Why have you never revisited the band and said, okay, let's make a second one? What was it about that first album that was so unique that there didn't need to be sort of a part two?
That was pretty much Alex, because if it was up to me, I wouldn't make more Nailbombs. You know, I fucking love the whole concept, the idea, the project. But Alex really didn't want to do much stuff. He was already heading towards the path of production and want to be producer. He hates playing live, which really is not good for a guy that's in a band. So, like, with that in mind, we kind of decided to murder Nailbomb ourselves, you know. So we on the second album, we kind of gave we put a little note that we did it ourselves, like there would not be another Nailbomb, and we murdered the project. But nobody said nothing about playing live, you know. So after that, Sepultura played a bunch of Nailbomb covers. Soulfly played Nailbomb. Cavalera plays Nailbomb. Until this guy really hit me, I actually just go and play the whole record because it's fucking great. I love it, and I always wanted to keep doing more, but Alex just never wanted to. So on one hand, it makes the album like a cult album because we never do it more than once, but we get to play it live, which is really cool. And I think this is the what's amazing about this tour is the opportunity that people have to hear the whole record the way we play it. It's like we played the whole record on the order of the record, and it's pretty brutal, pretty energetic all the way through.
It really is. Now, are there any plans for the live show to be recorded and released as a CD, or is it really, if you want to see this, you've got to get to a venue?
Yeah, there's no recordings. We're not recording anything. We're not doing anything like that. It's just the shows, man. You know, you got to be there and see it for yourself. You know, be part of history with us.
Yeah, I gotta definitely come out to that Montreal show. It's going to be fantastic. Just musically though, when you take a piece of music like this that you haven't touched in 24 years in its entirety, I mean, I know you've done a couple of songs here and there, but when you play how does that affect you as a musician? Do you go back and think, okay, I've lost this style of playing and it's nice to rediscover it? Do you feel that the songs need to be changed in any way? So how do you sort of artistically approach going back and getting into that state of 24 years ago and playing this album in full?
Well, with Nailbomb, we had kind of a challenge, you know, because we had Soulfly as a band turning this record that is a bit kind of like a lot of the songs are electronic and turn them into something that is organic and like a real band behind it. But then we put the samplers on top of it, so it stays electronic. So it's a bit like Ministry, like how Ministry's live is right now, because they play like real band players. You know, they have the whole band, drummers and bass player, guitar, and they sound fantastic. But you still have all the samplers on top of it, which is amazing. And I think that it's kind of a cool comparison. It would be Ministry. It's like real similar to what we do. And what Soulfly did that I think is really cool is actually turning some of those songs from just a regular electronic song that was kind of normal. We turned them into like a live, organic monster thing that's really cool, that's totally alive and totally energetic. And that's, to me, the coolest thing, especially playing songs we never played before, like 24-Hour Bullshit or For Fuck's Sake. Those are like kind of my favorite songs on the Nailbomb set, the ones we never really kind of got to play live much. And then, of course, there's always the big song like Cockroaches Wasting Away that so many people have covered. I just heard the other day Misery Index doing Wasting Away, and I was really, really happy that they covered that. So it's cool. It's like it was a challenge, but I think we did it, man, and I think it sounds great. And it sounds like a band. It does sound like Point Blank was made by a real band. When we play that stuff live, it feels like it's a band that's been practicing for a long time because we're super tight. All the parts, we know all the parts, and they sound great. They go together good. Then you have the samplers on top of it, so you still retain some of that electronic feeling from the original record. So it's kind of like both worlds. We kind of managed to get both worlds aboard for this thing, and it works. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I can imagine. Now, you recently did the Return to Roots, which also dates back over 20 years. Talk to me again artistically about going back and discovering that, because you do have a new Soulfly record that's about to come out, or that you're working on to have out soon. Does rediscovering these old songs and the way you used to play and the way you used to construct stuff change things? Do you rediscover yourself? Because I know artists always are trying to move forward. So how is it going back playing these older songs and going, okay, well, how can I put this into use in the future?
I think it's huge, man, for me, because I think it's kind of cool to have a little bit of of input into your old work, because you can always learn from what you did before, and always kind of see something that influences you for future works. So I think like the Cavalera record Psychosis was recorded right after the Roots tour, and I think we kind of brought the energy, the excitement of that tour into the studio. Was like so meaningful. We knew that this music is done with a purpose that reaches so many people and makes so much excitement and gets so many people really into it, that you bring that to the studio, and the energy is in the studio, and you create stuff like we created Psychosis, So I think it kind of goes hand in hand, and I think I'm kind of a lucky guy that I get to do that with my stuff. I have like a huge old catalog that I can work with. At the same time, I have new stuff I always putting out, like Psychosis, like new Soulfly. But they do definitely help, man. Those tours, they help when you're writing new stuff. It's always great to come back and check out some old stuff, because sometimes you forget, man. If you don't go back and revisit, you just forget that was even there, and you don't never go back to that place, and you just keep moving forward. And I think I have the chance to get back and revisit those things and let them influence my future works, which I think is
marvelous.
It's totally cool. It's great. I think it works really good,
So talk to me about that, because you went in and you did Psychosis under, of course, the Cavalera Conspiracy brand or title or band. After you left Sepultura, you started off Soulfly, you did the Nailbomb stuff, and you established a brand. Talk to me about writing under these different band names, Killed Be Killed, Cavalera. Why not just make everything Soulfly, or why not make everything just Max Cavalera? Because it's got to be difficult to sort of find promoters and record companies and say, no, here's this different band and here's a different style. And why not just go under one tent and say, this is Max and this is my album for this year?
Yeah, it's a bit confusing, but I think it's kind of fun too. It's like it really makes me because I really have to kind of sometimes really dig deep to try to make those things sound different. And I think I pretty much, so far, for most of the time, I actually kind of succeed. Like, when you listen to me, Killer BQ is very different from Psychosis, and then Psychosis is very different from Prophecy, or Archangel. So it's like really stretching as much as you can your abilities and your ideas, your influences, and I think it's fun because I think like in Soulfly I get to go back to that tribal world music, metal world that I love, and especially the new record, because I think it's kind of like a tribal thrash album right now. I think it's the perfect style. I think it explains the new record. It's a real tribal but real death metal, thrash metal combined, and those worlds kind of never really combined together quite like this, because Roots was really just tribal, and Soulfly 1 was really more like a tribal record. So I decided to mix all of them together into one, and I think I can see it be a little bit maybe confusing for the fans even, and frustrating a little bit, but at the end of the day, I love having all these projects. For me, it really makes me a better musician, because I just have to keep trying so hard to make different things with all of them. And I'm already looking forward to, at some point, work with the new Killer BQ material for next year, So yeah, it kind of like never stops. I just kind of jump from one project to the other, and yeah, so far so good. It's been working,
It has, and it's actually quite impressive, because I mean, you're sort of juggling three bands. It's it's hard enough sometimes to get a fan base to follow a band and then to follow two bands and now three. That's quite amazing. Is there a point where you think there might be a fourth project, or is there a musical style that you haven't touched that you think you would want to bring under another band? And I'll just just to be sort of silly, but would you do like a country album or an R&B album or something just very different and say, okay, I want to try this, and so here's another project?
Not so far. I don't have the kind of the ambition yet to do anything like that. The one area that I really listen to a lot, and it's kind of close to what I do already, is extreme metal. Because I always love a lot of the stuff like Bozer and Immolation and all these awesome bands. And I kind of love Dave Grohl's idea of the Probot, that he just wrote songs that have all his favorite singers come and sing on it. I wouldn't mind having kind of do something like that in the future, like write a whole record and just have my favorite singers come in and sing on each song. I gotta ask Dave for the permission to do that first.
And by the way, that was a great album. I mean, that was just a fantastic album what he did there.
Yeah. I also jealous of the idea. The idea was brilliant. Like just you write a metal record and you have your favorite singers come and sing on it. Why didn't I thought of that?
Really?
But, it's cool. Like maybe in the future another just a heavy black metal, thrash, death metal kind of project can be kind of cool. Not thinking about it like right now at the moment. I'm got a lot on my plate at the moment, but maybe for the future.
Yeah, it never ends. Now, you recently said that the follow-up to Archangel is an album that's going to have a bit of a reminiscent of Chaos AD. So I just want to know from you, what was it about Chaos AD that stands out as being one of these memorable albums where you go, yeah, I want to get back to that sound. That was a special moment.
I think it's just a combination of the groove and the fast. It was like really well done, and I think it was like, especially coming from Arise, which was already a really powerful thrash album. People were really curious, what could we do next? And we responded with Chaos, which is, to me, was really different from Arise and very ambitious kind of, and very kind of courageous kind of an album that a lot of bands probably wouldn't do. If for us to play safe, would have just do Arise Part 2, would have been perfect. Everybody would have loved it, and that would be the perfect safe path to go. But we didn't want the safe path. We wanted take more risks, And so I think Chaos AD is a risk-taking album, and I like that. And when I mentioned that about Soulfly, it was a bit kind of like, it was more about not really like the songs, but just the overall vibe of the record had that kind of feeling. Just has a kind of classic, even this kind of idea of the tribal thrash thing, it is all over the record, because we have some songs that are totally kind of groove with percussion and tribal elements. We have some songs with Navajo, chanting of Navajo Indians, and we have some songs that are pure, completely death metal, thrash metal influences that reminds of like the early days. And then we have a lot of grooves there. To me, they remind me of the Chaos AD grooves like Slave New World and Territory. That to me was killer. That was like the coolest stuff about that record was some of those grooves. So that's why I said it reminds me a little bit of that. And maybe because of Josh Wilbur producing, and he's huge. He learned everything from Andy Wallace, and Andy Wallace was the producer of Chaos. Maybe because of that, I made the connection of both worlds. I don't know. But the more I listen to it, the more I think that the Soulfly is his own monster in a way. This is going to be his own creation. And in the end, I don't think people are going to be like, yeah, it does sound like Chaos AD. I don't think so, because those things, they end up sounding different anyway when you're done. Even Psychosis, which was a big return to thrash death metal, had a lot of other things like industrial stuff like Godflash on Hellfire, and like a Mastodon kind of prog rock song like Psychosis, So it always changes in the end. So I did say that, but I think the album eventually will have his own
characteristics.
Personality.
Right.
Yeah, he will stand on his own.
Which all of your albums have, which is always great. But, I just want to quickly talk about 1996 when you decide to leave the band. So you have Sepultura, it's doing very well. You've put out 6-7 albums. You've got Arise, Chaos AD, Roots, these memorable albums in the metal genre. And you walk away. Talk to me a little bit about that moment where you were no longer in the band. Was it a moment of self-discovery, a moment of depression? Was it a moment of, oh fuck, what did I just do? Sort of, how was that? Were you sort of confused as to what to do, and now I've got to start over and build it all up again?
Yeah, it was all that. I mean, the first 3 months like were total depression. Like I didn't want to play music anymore. I was like so disappointed about the whole thing. It's like you work your whole life towards some goal, and next thing you know, I didn't have the band anymore. You know, I felt very desolate, very without hope. You know, but I think little by little, like people helped me get back on the game, and like there was a lot of. I had encouragement from even people like Ozzy. You know, we had a dinner at Ozzy's house, and it was really cool from him say, "It's up to you to get back on your feet." You know, and Gloria was huge also. Really getting me, pretty much getting me to get back and write some more. And then I wrote a demo that was 2 songs, Eye for an Eye and No, that totally blew away Monty Connor at Roadrunner. We played for him in a cassette tape version, and he fucking loved it. And from that moment on, we never looked back. He's like, this is it. We're doing something new. We're creating something new. I put the band together, getting Roy on drums, Lucio from Brazil on guitars, Marcelo from Brazil, and went on to create Soulfly, and had a couple of help from friends like Chino from Deftones, because Soulfly was born out of the Deftones song, Head Up from Around the Fur. So they're like the first band that gave me a hand after I left Sepultura, and I never forgot that. So I had to get Chino on my record. So we did First Commandment. And we also had Fred Durst, on Bleed, and we had Benji on
Quilombo or Quilombo.
Yeah, it was Quilombo and Prejudice. He sang on Prejudice, and we had all the percussion. Like there was a tribal record, but I think that record struck a chord with the metalheads all over the world. I don't know. Everybody pretty much I talked to loved that record. It's incredible, it's like, and I was in a real weird position, kind of like a no hope, in a desolation kind of place where I didn't care much anymore, didn't give a fuck, it was like, this is me, accept me or fucking trash me, I don't care, and for my surprise, everybody just loved the record, and
they really did.
Even today, one of people's favorite Soulfly records, the first one, and it's like real hard to make another one. I don't think I'm probably going to make any record like that again, just from the situation. That situation probably I'll never get to go back to that situation. Thank God, because it was not fun. It was in pure misery that the record was written. But I think suffering gives good art comes from suffering, so that's the only reason I can explain the album being good is because it was a labor of suffering,
Yeah, and I appreciate the album artwork because it's really just sort of this you or this guy and it's just like it's me against the world, folks, and sink or swim.
Yeah, it was total accident. We had this photo shooting in Portugal. I was doing press in Portugal, and this photographer just took it. I don't even remember making that pose for the guy. It was one of those, I just opened my arms and on top of a hill, and the guy took the picture, and when we were looking through the pictures, we were like, that's the one, that's the album cover, with a resemblance to the Christ in Rio, and kind of like,
it was great.
Kind of like calls to you, kind of like, and also like kind of explains the feeling of the record, like with open arms and, like really kind of, it's a weird feeling, but I think that record with the colors, with the green and just the figure in the middle, really, really was something that people would relate to it. And I think from that moment on, we never looked back, and I never stopped, you know.
Yeah, no, it really captured the moment now. But before we run out of time, though, what was the toughest part of starting Soulfly? Was it's me without bandmates and it's all the weight's on my shoulder? Was it finding a new record company? Was it coming up with merchandising ideas? I mean, what was the one thing that you went, oh, fuck, I didn't know I had to do this? I mean, what was the sort of the tough part, the mental, the financial, where did it go? Ooh, okay, I got to do this.
I think all of them together.
Yeah.
It was pressure from everywhere, you know. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of money, and you know, kind of like I think all of them together, you know, like pressure to write good songs. Those people gonna judge me by the old standards. Like I made some pretty high standard records. Like I better do something good, or people are not gonna like it, and I'm done. But I almost never went there, you know. I never like mentally went to that place thinking, oh, if people don't like it, I'm done. I kind of refused to have that kind of thinking on my mind, and I just wrote it from my heart. Like, okay, this is the only thing I know how to do. Music is like my weapon, and this is how I know I know how to do it. That's like songs like Eye for an Eye, Bleed, Tribe, Fire. They were born like that, from that. Just totally like completely honest from your heart, just writing, you know, without thinking, without overthinking too much. And I think that's what's cool about this record. It has real honest, you know, heart to it that people relate to it. It's not fake, you know. There's no fakeness on that whole record. There's no 1% of fakeness. It's everything for real.
And just quickly to mention the songs, how was it sort of coming up with the songs for that one? Because you were sort of in this position that if it sounds too much like Sepultura, people are going to say, well, you should have just stayed. And if it sounds too different, then people should have said, well, what the hell is that? So how was it in terms of pressure-wise coming up for the songs? Or was it just sort of really organic? And this is like you said, honest. It is what it is, and fans will just have to live with it.
Yeah, it was a little bit of that, you know, like, but I kind of knew like the stuff did not really sound too much like the old stuff. It had a kind of a new feeling, especially with the guitar work of Lucio. It had a new feeling to it, and so I was pretty confident that was pretty strong, and we didn't have to like really worry about that, you know.
Absolutely. Max, great pleasure. Always fun talking to you. And Montreal, March 14th, Fufun Electric. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
You're listening to Rock Talk with Mitch Lafon. Rock Talk.